Commander Zyloth of the Krellian Defense Fleet sat at his monitoring station, staring at the most boring stretch of space in the entire Galactic Empire. His three eyes glazed over as he watched absolutely nothing happen for the 7,000th consecutive day. This was Sector 942, the Empire's most secure border region, where excitement came to die a slow, agonizing death. He poked at the gelatinous lump on his meal tray with one tentacle. The cafeteria had promised authentic Valerian stew but delivered something that looked like it had already been digested once, possibly twice. Fantastic. Just fantastic. Another thrilling day in paradise, Zyloth muttered, pulling up his daily reports. 17 forms about sensor calibrations. 9 requisitions for cleaning supplies. 1 passive-aggressive memo from Lieutenant Krixa about his failure to organize the equipment locker. He was basically a glorified secretary with a military rank, and his 3 hearts knew it. The monitoring console beeped softly, its usual rhythm of absolutely nothing happening. Zyloth filed Report 77 Alpha under tedious bureaucratic nonsense, and wondered not for the first time why he had joined the military. "It's all right," his brood mother had insisted. "You will bring honor to the family," she had said. Well, mother, filing paperwork in the galaxy's most uneventful sector was truly glorious. Then the console screamed. Not beeped, screamed. Zyloth lurched forward, all 3 eyes widening in perfect synchronization. The sensor display lit up like a festival celebration, alarms wailing in 17 different frequencies. His primary heart skipped approximately 4 beats. "No, no, 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 no," he whispered, tentacles flying across the controls. "That cannot be right. That is impossible. That is completely, utterly, catastrophically impossible." The sensor signature was unmistakable. A warship, not just any warship, a human warship. Here, in Sector 942, in the most restricted, most secure, most absolutely no unauthorized vessels allowed border region of the entire Galactic Empire. The identification tag blinked mockingly on his screen. USS Reckoning. Zyloth's breathing spiracles opened and closed rapidly. This was bad. This was monumentally bad. Humans were not supposed to be here. Humans were barely supposed to exist in this part of the galaxy. They were those weird newcomers from the outer rim who apparently built their civilization on a death world and thought that was normal. And now one of their warships was parked in his sector like it owned the place. His career flashed before his eyes. Court-martial. Dishonor. His broodmother's disappointment, that face she made when he had failed his university entrance exams. He would see that face again, he just knew it. "Okay, Zyloth," he told himself, trying to control his panic. "You are a trained officer. You can handle this. It is probably just a sensor malfunction. Yes, a malfunction, because the alternative is that a human warship just violated about 900 Imperial regulations. And that would mean you have to actually do something." The console beeped again, updating the information. The ship was still there, very much still there, and according to sensors, it was massive. Zyloth felt his secondary heart join the panic party. His primary heart was already throwing. This was going to be a very, very long day. Zyloth's primary manipulator hovered over the communication controls. Behind him, his skeleton crew of 12 was rapidly becoming a skeleton crew in the psychological sense. Ensign Bleep had actually fainted. Technician Vorin was hyperventilating into a recycling bag. Lieutenant Krixa, his second in command, stood perfectly still with her arms crossed, which somehow made everything worse. "Sir," Krixa said in her typical flat tone, "are you going to hail them or shall we simply wait for them to do whatever humans do when left unsupervised?" "Right? Communication. He was supposed to communicate, that was literally his job." Zyloth cleared his throat, which in Krellian biology sounded like gargling gravel, and activated the comm system. "Attention, unidentified vessel. This is Commander Zyloth of the Krellian Defense Fleet, Border Station 42 Alpha. You have entered restricted Imperial space without authorization. Please state your identification and purpose immediately." There, that sounded official. Professional. Commanding even. Static crackled for a moment, and then a voice responded. A human voice, smooth, casual, and completely unbothered by the fact that he was currently breaking approximately 900 laws. "Oh, hey there. This is Captain Jackson Foster of the USS Reckoning. Sorry about the confusion, buddy. We are just passing through on our way to the Andromeda Trade Summit. Did not realize this was the express lane or anything." Zyloth's three eyes blinked in sequence. "Buddy. Did this human just call him Buddy?" "Captain Foster," Zyloth said, his voice climbing half an octave. "This is not an express lane. This is Imperial Restricted Zone 7. According to Regulation 42-9-B, subsection 12, no vessels of Terran origin are permitted within 50 parsecs of this boundary without advanced diplomatic clearance, which requires a minimum processing time of 6 standard months and approval from no fewer than 17 separate committees." 17 committees. Foster's voice somehow conveyed a smile. "Wow, you guys really like paperwork, huh? Look, Commander, we are not trying to cause any trouble. My navigator, Lieutenant Emily Barnes, might have punched in the wrong coordinates. You know how it is. Long shift, lots of buttons. Everything looks the same in hyperspace." Zyloth looked at Crixa. Crixa looked at Zyloth. Her expression said, "These are the beings who defeated the Zarkonian warlords." "Captain Foster." Zyloth tried again, pulling up the regulations on his secondary screen just to make sure he was not having some sort of psychotic episode. "Navigation errors do not excuse violations of Imperial sovereignty. You are currently occupying space reserved exclusively for authorized military operations. I must insist that you alter course immediately and submit to escort procedures." "Escort procedures? That sounds formal. Tell you what, Commander, we will definitely get out of your hair. Or, your tentacles. Sorry, still learning the lingo. Just point us toward the scenic route, and we will be on our way. We have got a summit to get to, and I promised my crew shore leave afterward." Zyloth felt his secondary heart begin palpitating. The human was treating this like a minor inconvenience, like he had accidentally parked in the wrong designated space at a shopping complex. "Sir," Crixa leaned in, her voice low, "perhaps we should contact High Command. This seems slightly above our authorization level." "No," Zyloth hissed back. "Absolutely not. Do you know what Admiral Vorsen will say? He will ask why I allowed a human warship to waltz into our sector in the first place. He will demand to know why our sensors did not detect them earlier. He will question my competence, my training, and probably my entire genetic lineage. So your plan is to handle this yourself. My plan is to not get demoted to waste reclamation duty." Crix's face did something that might have been a smirk. Bold strategy. The comm crackled again. "Hey Commander, you still there? Did we lose you?" Zyloth pressed his manipulator to his central eye socket. "Yes, Captain Foster. I am still here. Please stand by while I consult my commanding officers about the proper protocols for this unprecedented situation." "Sure thing. We will just hang out here. Nice sector you got. By the way, very spacious." Zyloth muted the comm and screamed internally. The priority channel lit up before Zyloth could even finish his internal screaming. The face of Admiral Vorsen materialized on the main screen, and Zyloth's 3 hearts collectively decided to stage a revolt against his circulatory system. Admiral Vorsen had 4 eyes instead of the usual 3, which marked him as old military aristocracy, and all 4 of those eyes were currently boring holes through Zyloth's soul. "Commander Zyloth," the Admiral said, his voice like gravel being chewed by a metal grinder, "would you care to explain why there is a human warship broadcasting from your sector? Or have I perhaps misunderstood the fundamental purpose of a border defense station?" "Sir, I can explain," Zyloth began. Which was a lie, because he absolutely could not explain. The vessel appeared without warning approximately 7 minutes ago. They claimed to be en route to the Andromeda Trade Summit, and that their navigator made an error in coordinate entry. Their navigator made an error. The Admiral's face did something truly horrifying. It might have been a smile, but it looked more like a threat. "How wonderfully convenient, and you believe this explanation?" "Sir, I am currently attempting to verify their credentials and escort them out of Imperial space using standard protocols." "Standard protocols," Vorsen repeated slowly. "Commander, humans do not respond to standard protocols. Humans barely respond to their own protocols. I am scrambling 3 battle cruisers to your position. The Talon's Edge, the Void Hammer, and the Relentless Fury will arrive within the hour. Until then you will maintain constant surveillance, and under no circumstances allow that vessel to advance further into Imperial territory. Am I absolutely clear? Crystal clear, sir, Zyloth said, then immediately regretted using that phrase because it sounded too casual. The Admiral's image vanished, leaving Zyloth staring at dead air and contemplating career alternatives. Farming, perhaps. Nice quiet farming on a colony world where warships never appeared out of nowhere. Well, Crixa said, they went approximately as well as expected. Zyloth unmuted the comm channel, straightened his posture, and channeled every ounce of military authority his training had provided. Captain Foster, I have been authorized to inform you that you are now officially in violation of Imperial sovereignty. 3 battle cruisers are being dispatched to this location. I strongly suggest you power down your weapons systems and prepare to be boarded for inspection. There was a pause, then Foster's voice came back, and he sounded amused. 3 battle cruisers? Wow, Commander, you really know how to make a guy feel special. Tell you what though, boarding might be tricky. We have got some upgraded weapons systems on the Reckoning that we have been meaning to test, and my weapons officer Commander Ryan Mitchell gets really excited when capital ships show up. He is kind of a nerd about it. Zyloth's primary heart stopped. Just completely stopped beating for approximately 3 seconds. Captain Foster, he said carefully, are you threatening Imperial military vessels? Threatening? No, just mentioning. You know, making conversation. Hey Emily, how badly did you mess up those coordinates anyway? A female voice responded in the background, slightly annoyed. I told you, sir. I was distracted. Jenkins was telling that story about the space jellyfish again. The space jellyfish story is hilarious, Barnes, and you know it. It is really not, sir. Zyloth looked at Crixa again. She had her datapad out and was taking notes. What are you doing? He hissed. Documenting this for the inevitable inquiry, she replied without looking up. I want the record to show that the humans appeared to be having a casual workplace conversation while being threatened with military force. The secondary comm panel lit up. Incoming transmissions from the 3 battle cruisers. Captain Thexnor of the Talon's Edge appeared first, his scaled features twisted into a predatory grin. Commander Zyloth, we are inbound to your position. What is the status of the intruder? The intruder is currently discussing space jellyfish with his navigation officer, Zyloth said flatly. Thexnor's grin faltered. They are what? You heard me correctly, Captain. The Voidhammer's captain, a hulking Dromath warrior named Krell, joined the channel. Commander, are you saying the humans are not taking this seriously? That is exactly what I am saying, Captain Krell. Interesting, Krell rumbled. In my experience, beings who do not take military threats seriously fall into 2 categories: idiots or beings who have no reason to be afraid. Zyloth felt his tertiary heart join the panic. Captain, these are humans. They are relatively new to the galactic stage. Surely they cannot be that confident. Foster's voice cut back in, cheerful as ever. Hey, Commander, quick question. Those battle cruisers you mentioned, they are the Mark 7 class, right? We have got some tactical data on those. Beautiful ships. Really beautiful. But, just between us, you might want to tell them to keep their shield generators on the port side reinforced. They have got a known vulnerability there. Just saying. The free officer on every screen went silent. How? Captain Thexnor said slowly. Do they know about the port shield vulnerability? Zyloth buried his face in his tentacles. I have no idea, and I am terrified to ask. 23 minutes later, the situation somehow got worse. Ambassador Threlkor's elongated face appeared on the main screen, his ceremonial robes shimmering with the kind of expensive embroidery that screamed, I am more important than you. I will handle this, Threlkor announced, not even acknowledging Zyloth's existence. He adjusted his ceremonial collar and activated his own common channel to the human ship. Attention vessel of Terran origin. I am Ambassador Threlkor, 3rd Deputy of the Imperial Diplomatic Corps, holder of the Azure Commendation, the senior negotiator for border incidents. You will now address me with the respect befitting my station. Zyloth wanted to crawl under his console and hide. Oh wow. Foster's voice came back. That is a lot of titles. I am just Captain Foster. I hold a coffee mug and negotiate with my alarm clock every morning. Does that count? Threlkor's facial ridges twitched. Your flippant attitude is noted and will be included in my official report. Now, Perhaps you can explain to me in simple terms that even a human might understand why you have violated Imperial law. Well, when you put it like that, Ambassador, it makes it sound so intentional. Like I said, navigation error happens to the best of us. Last week, my helmsman ended up at a drive-through burger joint instead of a fuel station. Similar energy. A drive-through burger joint, Threlkor repeated, his voice dripping with condescension. How quaint, how remarkably primitive. Perhaps if your species invested more in proper navigational training instead of fast food establishments, you would not find yourselves in restricted military zones. There was a pause on the human end. Then Foster spoke again, but his tone had changed. Still friendly, but with an edge that made Zyloth's sensory organs tingle with warning. You know what, Ambassador? You are absolutely right. We humans are pretty simple folk. In fact, let me share some of our primitive culture with you, just to help you understand us better. Barnes, fire up the cultural exchange package. Sir, are you sure about this? Lieutenant Barnes asked in the background. Oh, I am very sure. Suddenly, every communication frequency in the sector lit up, not with emergency signals or military chatter, but with something far more disturbing. Images and sounds flooded the channels. People in strange clothing doing incomprehensible things. Loud music, canned laughter, something called Monty Python, and another thing labeled The Office. What is this? Threlkor sputtered. What are you doing? Cultural exchange, Ambassador, Foster replied cheerfully. Regulation 47-3 requires mutual understanding between species during first contact situations. We are just following protocol. That is protocol, right? Commander Zyloth. Zyloth checked his datapad with shaking tentacles. That is technically correct, sir. See, we know how to follow rules. Ensign Bleep, who had finally recovered from his earlier fainting episode, was staring at one of the screens with his mouth open. A small creature called a cat was playing a piano. The cat was terrible at piano. Bleep started laughing. Actually laughing. Ensign, Zyloth snapped. Compose yourself. Sorry, sir, but the cat is just… Bleep dissolved into another fit of giggles. On the battle cruiser channel, Zyloth could hear similar sounds. Junior officers were watching the broadcasts. Some were confused, some were horrified, and some, to Zyloth's absolute dismay, were laughing. Turn this off immediately, Threlkor commanded. This is not cultural exchange, this is cultural assault. Oh, Ambassador, you wound me, Foster said. These are classics. Peak human civilization. But fine, fine. If you want us to leave, we will leave. Just provide us with detailed maps of the scenic route through this sector. You know, the one that definitely does not include any military installations, supply depots, or strategically important coordinates. The tourist route. Zyloth's three eyes widened in perfect horror. He is asking for intelligence data. He is literally asking for intelligence data. I am aware, Krixa said, still taking notes. I am beginning to suspect the humans are not actually lost. You think? Zyloth's voice went up another octave. In fact, Krixa continued in her maddeningly calm tone, I believe we are watching humans weaponize confusion. They are deliberately acting incompetent to make us lower our guard, while simultaneously demonstrating technical superiority. It is actually quite brilliant. Brilliant. They are broadcasting primitive entertainment and asking for military maps. Yes, sir. And notice how everyone stopped treating them as a threat. 3 battle cruisers are inbound, and half the crew is watching something called cat videos. They have neutralized our psychological advantage in under an hour. On the screen, Threlkor had turned a shade of purple that Zyloth had never seen before. You will receive no maps. You will receive no assistance. You will power down your engines and submit to Imperial authority, or face the consequences. Consequences, Foster said, and his voice had gone very, very quiet. Ambassador, with all due respect, and I mean that very sincerely, you might want to check your tactical display, because if we are talking about consequences, I think we should all be very clear about who is in a position to dictate terms here. Zyloth's console started screaming again. His tentacles flew across the controls, pulling up tactical data. What he saw made his 3 hearts stop beating in alphabetical order. Oh no, he whispered. Oh no, no. Krixa leaned over his shoulder. Well, she said dryly, That is unfortunate. The three battle cruisers dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their weapon ports glowing with charged energy. The Talon's Edge, the Void Hammer, and the Relentless Fury represented the pinnacle of Imperial military engineering. Each one was 3 times the size of the human vessel. Each one carried enough firepower to level a small moon. Zyloth felt a brief shining moment of confidence. Finally, these humans would understand the gravity of their situation. Captain Thexnor's voice boomed across all channels. Attention human vessel, you are now surrounded by the full might of the Imperial Defense Fleet. Power down your weapons and engines immediately, or we will be forced to open fire. The 3 cruisers moved into attack positions, forming a triangle around the USS Reckoning. Their targeting systems lit up, painting the human ship with enough sensor locks to make any sane captain surrender immediately. Then Foster sighed. Actually sighed. Like someone had asked him to take out the trash. You know what, guys? I really tried to keep this friendly. I really did. But you just had to go and make it weird. Mitchell, you still awake down there? A new voice joined the comm. Younger and way too enthusiastic. Oh, I am very awake, Captain. Been running simulations for the last 20 minutes. Please tell me we are doing the thing. Are we doing the thing? We are doing the thing. Yes. Zyloth's console exploded with alerts. Not metaphorically. It actually started sparking because the sensor array could not process what it was detecting fast enough. Every single targeting system on the border station screamed a warning simultaneously. The human ship had just locked weapons on them. Not targeting sensors. Active weapon locks. The kind that meant missiles were 2 seconds from launch. But it was not just the station. Sir, Ensign Bleep's voice cracked. They have locked onto all 3 battle cruisers. All of them. At the same time. That is impossible. Captain Thexnor snarled. No single vessel has the processing power to maintain simultaneous targeting solutions on multiple capital ships. It gets worse, sir. Technician Voran called out, his face pressed against his sensor display. They have also locked onto monitoring stations, Gamma 7, Gamma 9 and Gamma 12, plus the orbital defense platforms at coordinates 974 and 976. Plus, wait, what is that signature? Crixa leaned over, examined the data, and went very still. That is Admiral Vorishen's personal yacht, the Sovereign's pride. Zyloth's 3 eyes tried to focus on the same data. That is impossible. That yacht is docked at Imperial Station 3. That is 3 systems away from here. 3 systems. Apparently, Crixa said quietly. The humans do not consider distance a relevant factor. The entire demonstration had taken exactly 4.7 seconds. Foster's voice came back. Still cheerful but now with an undertone that made Zyloth's sensory organs curl. So here is the thing, gentlemen. My weapons officer, Commander Ryan Mitchell, has been really bored lately. We have been doing milk runs and escort missions for 6 months. And the guy lives for this stuff. So when 3 battle cruisers show up to intimidate us, well, he gets excited. Mitchell, what is our firing solution confidence? 99.97%, Captain. The 0.03 is just me being humble. And how long would it take to execute? From your order to impact? About 2.3 seconds, sir. That is including the time it takes me to say firing because I like the drama. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Foster paused. Now I want to be very clear about something. Ambassador Threlkor, Captains, Commander Zyloth, we could have fired. We had your positions locked before your cruisers even finished their positioning maneuvers. We could have turned this entire sector into a debris field before your shields even finished charging. But that would be rude, and we are trying to make friends here. Humanity is new to the galactic community, and we do not want to make a bad impression by vaporizing a bunch of ships on our first visit to your sector. Dead silence filled every channel. Zyloth stared at his console, where 17 different threat indicators were still screaming. His mind was having trouble processing what had just happened. The Empire's most advanced battlecruisers, the ones that had crushed the Zarkonian rebellion, the ones that had made the Vraxian horde surrender without firing a shot, were currently locked in the targeting sights of a single human vessel that had supposedly gotten lost on the way to a trade summit. How? Captain Krell finally asked, his voice stripped of its earlier confidence. How did you detect the Admiral's yacht? It is in a completely different system. Our own long-range sensors cannot achieve that resolution." "Oh, that." Foster sounded genuinely surprised by the question. "That is just standard tactical awareness. You always know where the command structure is positioned. Basic stuff. They teach that in like week 2 of officer training." "Week 2, Zyloth repeated numbly. Technician Vorn was frantically checking his systems. "Sir, I have run every diagnostic. Their targeting locks are not theoretical. They are active weapon solutions with full firing coordinates. The power readings suggest, well, they suggest things I do not understand. Their reactor output is off the scale. It is like they are running a small star in their engine room." "That is classified," Lieutenant Barnes chimed in from the human ship, "but also kind of accurate." Crixa set down her datapad. "Sir, I believe we need to reassess our tactical position." "Our tactical position," Zyloth said slowly, "is that we are completely and utterly outmatched by a ship that is supposedly lost, and whose captain thinks this is funny." "Correct, sir." On the main screen, Ambassador Threlkor had gone from purple to a pale gray. His ceremonial robes suddenly looked less impressive and more like expensive kindling. "This is an act of war," he whispered. "No, Ambassador," Foster replied gently. "This is an act of self-defense. You surrounded us with warships. We demonstrated why that was a bad idea. Now how about we all take a deep breath, turn off the weapon locks, nice and slow, and have a civilized conversation about how I can get out of your hair without anyone filing paperwork about hull breaches." Zyloth felt something break inside his mind. It might have been his understanding of Imperial military superiority, or possibly his will to live. "Stand down," he heard himself say. "All vessels stand down." Junior Technician Blip was not supposed to be monitoring encrypted communications. In fact, Blip was not supposed to be monitoring much of anything, because Blip was 3 weeks out of Technical Academy, and still learning which buttons did what. But while everyone else was having existential crises about human weapons capabilities, Blip had been doing his job, tracking signal patterns like his instructor had taught him. And he had found something weird. Blip said quietly, raising one small appendage. Nobody noticed. Excuse me." Still nothing. Commander Zyloth was staring into space. Lieutenant Crixa was recalculating threat assessments. Ensign Bleep was still watching cat videos. "Sirs," Blip squeaked, his voice breaking. "The humans have been sending encrypted transmissions this entire time." That got everyone's attention. Zyloth spun around so fast he nearly knocked over his chair. "What? To whom? Show me immediately." Blip's manipulators trembled as he transferred the data to the main screen. "I have been tracking the signal patterns, sir, like Academy Instructor Prex taught us. The humans have been broadcasting on a civilian commercial frequency, encrypted but not very well encrypted. I cracked it using standard decryption protocols. It only took me 4 minutes." 4 minutes? Crixa leaned in. "Either you are exceptionally talented, or they wanted us to decrypt it." "I think maybe the second one, ma'am," Blip admitted. "Because when I read the contents, I thought maybe I translated wrong, so I checked 3 times and well, you should probably just read it yourselves." Zyloth pulled up the decoded transmission and read it once, then twice, then a 3rd time, because his brain refused to process what his eyes were seeing. The humans were ordering food. Not weapons, not reinforcements, not tactical intelligence. They were ordering pizza ingredients from a civilian trade station 2 sectors away. Tomatoes, cheese cultures compatible with human biology, something called pepperoni, and a specific brand of carbonated beverage called Dr. Thunder because apparently, Dr. Pepper was not available this far from Earth. The transmission included a note: "Negotiations always run long. Crew gets hungry. Please deliver to coordinates attached. We'll pay extra for rush delivery. Thanks." Zyloth made a sound that no Krellian had ever made before. It was somewhere between a laugh, a sob, and a complete psychological break. "They were ordering pizza," he said flatly. "While we were scrambling battle cruisers and contemplating military action, they were ordering pizza." "It gets worse, sir," Blip added helpfully. "The timestamp shows they placed the order 17 minutes ago, before the battle cruisers even arrived. Before Ambassador Threlkor made his speech, they were ordering dinner during the initial hailing." Crix's expression did something complicated. "They never considered us a threat, not for a single moment." The weapon demonstration was not desperation or bravado. It was them being mildly annoyed that we interrupted their lunch plans. "I need to sit down," Zyloth said. "Already sitting." "You are sitting, sir." "Then I need to sit down more." The comm crackled. Foster's voice returned, and he sounded genuinely apologetic. "Hey, Commander Zyloth, I realize things got a little tense there. That was not our intention. We really are just passing through. So here is a thought. How about we make this right? We have got a great cook on board, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, and he is making his famous Chicago deep dish. Why do not you and your crew come over for dinner and a movie night? We can smooth this whole thing over, share some stories, maybe play some poker. What do you say?" Every officer on the bridge stared at the comm in silence. "He is inviting us to dinner," Zyloth said, "after demonstrating he could annihilate us. He is inviting us to dinner. I mean, the pizza does sound good," Ensign Bleep offered quietly. "It does not sound good, Ensign. It sounds insane." "It sounds like both, sir." On the battlecruiser channel, Captain Thexnor was sputtering. "This is completely inappropriate, completely against protocol. We do not fraternize with treaty violators. We cannot. This is absolutely—" "I would like to go," a small voice interrupted. It was one of Thexnor's junior officers. "If that is permitted, sir. I have never met a human before, and respectfully they did offer to not vaporize us. That seems worth a thank you dinner." "I would also like to attend," another voice chimed in from the Void Hammer. "For, intelligence gathering purposes." "Intelligence gathering," Captain Krell repeated skeptically. "You want to gather intelligence about their pizza?" "Their deep dish pizza, sir. It is apparently a regional variant, very different from standard pizza. The cultural implications alone are worth studying." Zyloth felt control of the situation slipping through his tentacles like water. "Captain Foster, this is highly irregular. We have protocols, procedures, chains of command." Sure. But here is the thing, Commander. You have got a choice. Either we sit here doing the whole military standoff thing, filling out reports and writing strongly worded diplomatic memos, or we acknowledge that this got weird, laugh about it over some good food, and I head on my way with nobody's career getting destroyed. Your call." Krixa leaned close to Zyloth. "Sir, permission to speak freely." "Granted. I want to go to the dinner." "Lieutenant." "Sir, we are outgunned, outmaneuvered, and we just watched them order pizza during a crisis situation. Our options are to either escalate this into an actual military incident, which we will lose, or accept their olive branch. Also, I have read about Chicago deep dish pizza. It is supposed to be exceptional." Zyloth looked around his bridge. At Blip, who was nodding eagerly. At Ensign Bleep, who had already pulled up information about human cuisine on his datapad. At Technician Vorn, who was trying very hard to look professional but was clearly interested. He looked at the tactical display, where the human ship still maintained target locks on everything within 3 systems. He looked at his career, which was already destroyed anyway. "Fine," Zyloth said. "Fine. We will attend your dinner, Captain Foster. But I am filing a report about this." "Absolutely, Commander. You do what you need to do. We will see you at 1800 hours. Oh, and bring your appetite. Morrison does not skimp on the cheese." The comm went silent. Zyloth put his head down on his console and wondered what his broodmother would say about this. The priority channel activated before Zyloth could even process what he had agreed to. Admiral Vershin's face materialized once more, and all 4 of his eyes were blazing with an intensity that suggested someone was about to be demoted to cleaning waste recyclers with their tongue. "Commander Zyloth," the Admiral said, his voice dangerously quiet, "did you just accept a dinner invitation from the hostile vessel that has been holding this entire sector hostage?" "Hostile is a strong word, sir," Zyloth tried. "They prefer the term navigationally challenged." "Do not test me, Commander." "No, sir. Not testing. Absolutely not testing." Vorshin's facial ridges twitched violently. "I am ordering you to decline this ridiculous invitation immediately and maintain proper military protocol. We do not break bread with treaty violators. We do not socialize with beings who aim weapons at Imperial vessels. We do not, under any circumstances, attend pizza parties with humans who think military regulations are optional." "Understood, sir. However, in my defense, they still have us targeted, and saying no seemed, diplomatically speaking, unwise. The Admiral opened his mouth, presumably to deliver a scathing response that would end Zyloth's career permanently. When his console beeped, he glanced down, his expression shifting from fury to confusion to something that might have been alarm. "Hold on," Voroshen muttered, his eyes scanning whatever had just appeared on his private channel. "This cannot be. How did they? When did they?" Zyloth watched the Admiral's face cycle through approximately 17 different emotions in 8 seconds. "Commander," Voroshen said slowly, "I will contact you shortly. Do not do anything stupid in the meantime." The channel went dark. Krixa raised one eyebrow. "That was odd." "Everything about today is odd, Lieutenant. I have stopped trying to understand." 15 minutes later, the priority channel reactivated. Admiral Voroshen looked like he had aged several years. He also looked significantly less angry, and significantly more confused, which was somehow worse. "Commander Zyloth, the situation has changed. Captain Foster has transmitted detailed reconnaissance data to my personal secure channel. Data concerning a pirate operation staging out of the Kelvor asteroid belt. Data that indicates an imminent attack on Colony World Praxis 7, scheduled for 3 days from now. Data that is so detailed, so comprehensive, and so accurate that our intelligence division has verified it within minutes." Zyloth's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "The humans found a pirate base." "Not just found it, Commander. They apparently scanned it, catalogued it, identified the command structure, tracked supply lines, and predicted attack vectors, all while, and I quote from their transmission, taking the scenic route to check out some cool nebulas. They have handed us intelligence that would have taken our best analysts 3 months to compile." "Why would they do that, sir?" Voroshen's face did something complicated. "According to Captain Foster's message, and again I quote, noticed some sketchy activity on the way through. Figured you would want to know. Pirates are bad for everybody's business. Consider it a housewarming gift for the neighborhood." He ended the message with a symbol, a small circular face, smiling. "He sent you an emoji, sir." "Yes, Commander. The humans sent me an emoji, in an official military communication, and because of that emoji and his intelligence data, I now have to authorize his passage through Imperial space, provide him with the navigational data he requested, and thank him for potentially saving 600,000 colonists." The Admiral looked like he was chewing glass while saying this. "You are authorizing the humans to proceed, sir." "I am authorizing them, providing them with full navigation charts for the shortest route to the Andromeda Summit, and sending an official commendation to the Terran Diplomatic Corps. I am also quietly filing this entire incident under classified strategic interactions so that nobody ever has to explain how a lost human cargo ship outmaneuvered 3 battle cruisers and conducted better reconnaissance than our entire intelligence division. It is a warship, sir, not a cargo ship. After today, Commander, I am not sure it matters. Enjoy your dinner. Try not to let them learn anything else classified." Voroshen out. The channel went dark again. Zyloth sat in silence for approximately 30 seconds. Then he started laughing. Not a dignified military laugh. A slightly unhinged laugh that suggested his brain had finally given up trying to process reality. 6 hours later, after what was admittedly an excellent dinner featuring pizza that somehow tasted better than it had any right to, extensive discussions about the tactical applications of classic rock music, and a poker game where Lieutenant Barnes won 3 months of Zyloth's salary, the USS Reckoning prepared to depart. Zyloth stood on the observation deck of his station, watching the human warship maneuver away from Imperial space. As it accelerated, its external speakers activated, blasting something Captain Foster had called Highway to Hell loud enough to register on their sensor arrays. The base was causing minor vibrations in the station's hull. "They are playing music," Zyloth said to nobody in particular. "They are violating the noise ordinances of 17 different systems, and they are doing it on purpose." "I believe that is the point, sir," Krixa replied, standing beside him. "They are making a statement." "What statement?" "That humans have no regard for basic courtesy. That humans do whatever they want, and there is nothing we can do about it." The Reckoning vanished into hyperspace with one final blast of guitar solo. Zyloth returned to his office and began typing his incident report. He wrote 17 pages. Then he deleted 16 of them because nobody would ever believe what actually happened. His final report read, "Human vessel briefly entered Sector 942 due to navigation error. Situation resolved peacefully. No casualties. Recommend updating first contact protocols." 3 days later, a small cargo drone arrived at the station addressed to Commander Zyloth personally. Inside was a package containing 2 bags of something labeled Colombian dark roast coffee, printed recipes for Chicago deep dish pizza with extensive notes about proper baking temperatures, a data chip containing various Earth cultural materials labeled the good stuff, and a handwritten note. Zyloth read the note 3 times. "Commander Zyloth, thanks for being cool about the wrong turn. Sorry about the weapon locks. Mitchell gets carried away sometimes. The coffee is from my personal stash. The recipes are from Morrison, who insists you will never eat regular pizza again once you try his deep dish. The cultural files are just some movies and music we thought you might enjoy. Hope the pirate intel helped. Humanity remembers its friends. Stay safe out there. Captain Jackson Foster, U.S. Reckoning. P.S. Mize tell Lieutenant Crixa she plays a mean hand of poker. Barnes wants a rematch." Zyloth stared at the package for a long time. Then he made himself a cup of the human coffee, following the instructions included. The smell alone was remarkable. The taste was, he had to admit, extraordinary. Crixa entered his office, saw the coffee, and smirked. "So the humans sent you a gift. Apparently we are friends now," Zyloth said, taking another sip. "I am not sure whether to be relieved or terrified." "Both seems appropriate, sir. They could have destroyed us. They could have taken whatever they wanted. Instead they made pizza, played poker, and gave us intelligence that saved an entire colony. What kind of species does that?" Crixa sat down. Vasella sat down, her expression thoughtful. "Sir, I have been thinking about that. The humans might be the most dangerous species in the galaxy precisely because they do not act like it. Every other powerful species uses fear, intimidation, displays of strength. Humans use friendship, humor, and casual demonstrations that they could end you but choose not to. It is psychological warfare masquerading as diplomacy." Zyloth considered this while sipping his coffee. "So what do? We do what Captain Foster suggested, sir. We remember that humanity makes friends, and we make very sure we stay on that list. Because the alternative is being on their other list, the one with the pirates." Zyloth looked at the note again, at the casual handwriting, at the genuine warmth in the words, at the postscript about poker. "You know what the truly terrifying part is, Lieutenant?" "What is that, sir?" "I actually like them, despite everything. Despite the regulations they violated and the heart attacks they gave me. I actually like them." Crixa's smirk widened. "Welcome to humanity's secret weapons, sir. They make you like them, even when you know you should not. Even when every tactical instinct says they are dangerous. They make you like them anyway." Zyloth raised his coffee mug in a small salute to the empty space where the reckoning had been. "To humanity," he said. "The most terrifying friends the galaxy has ever seen." "To humanity," Crixa agreed. And somewhere, 3 systems away and accelerating toward the Andromeda summit, Captain Jackson Foster smiled, turned up the music, and asked Lieutenant Barnes to plot a course through the most interesting route possible. Because why take the boring way when you could make new friends?